So I have a talk called Selecting a Keynote That Sells. And some of you might know some of these techniques. Some of you might be completely foreign to you. We've been playing around with a little bit of these during the noon gun, and we're going to expand on a lesson that we did last week with them just to make it relative to speaking. So that's you in the middle, okay? That's me, which is you, not me, but you, me. And we've got all these things that we're supposed to do as speakers. We're supposed to have a really cool LinkedIn profile, and we've had speakers on LinkedIn. We've had coaches on LinkedIn come and tell us. We've had website people come and tell us all these things. We've had other people that'll swear the success is having a good mailing list, and you've got to have at least 1,000 people on your mailing list, whether they're qualified people or not. You've got to have a mailing list because your mailing list is your single way to bank balance. The other people say you've got to be a member of Professional Speakers Association, and preferably of Southern Africa, and with that you get a profile and you get to go to events and you can do that. And if you become a professional member, you get listed on the International Speakers profile. And other people say, no, that's not that. You've got to come in through Toastmasters, and some of us are current or ex-Toastmaster people, and they'll tell you that without my Toastmaster background, you'll never learn how to speak. Other people say it's nonsense. It's all about networks. It's knowing who you know and who you link with, etc., etc. And other people say, forget everything else. It's all about Facebook. It's all about getting the right people on the right thing and spending truckloads of money on Facebook marketing to get that right. And it's all of the above, but it's actually none of the above, because we will come back to these. Because if you've got a product that sucks, it doesn't matter how good all of those things are. You are still going to suck. And I can tell you there's not a single silver bullet of a 3-step program that if you do just these things on your LinkedIn, then your world will open up as a professional speaker. It's got nothing to do with any of these things here until you get the previous stuff right. Yeah. So the next thing is that your keynote, when we're going to create a keynote, and we will have other lessons on the mechanism of a keynote, okay? We will have other evenings where we look at and we dissect the anatomy of a keynote. That is not tonight. But your keynote has to at least touch on, well, no, it has to touch on all of these. It needs to be a sense of authority. Okay, it's got to have a sense of authority. It's not like I am, you know, I'm thinking of starting out becoming a cat coach, and I think that cats like me because they purr whenever they come to me. And so you've got to sit there and say, you know, I've got a doctorate in cat psychology. You've got to have that sense of authority. And we'll start there at the next exercise. The other thing is your keynote has to be topical. You cannot come and talk about playing beach bat on the beaches at sunset now, because playing on the beach is not a topical topic at the moment, because we're not even allowed to put our toe on the beach without getting hammered by the police. So it's got to be topical, and it's got to be relevant. You've got to find relevance to the people that you're speaking to. So those two things are probably the most area where a lot of stuff is failed on that stuff, is people don't have topical stuff and it's not relevant to today's market. So those are the two key things that we want to get to. At the bottom, we've got, it's got to be payable. Okay, so that links with the next one. It's got to be bookable. People want to book you. Okay, and that often stems with the whole thing. But having a speech that's bookable doesn't necessarily mean that it's payable. And there's a big difference between having a really cool speech, because I can do stories of, you know, origins of Africa stories. And people go, oh, it's amazing. Come talk to us. You know, yes, we want you to talk. And I say, well, here's my invoice for 20,000 Rand. And they go, you know what? You know, it'll be really good because you can connect with so many potential future clients, okay? And we end up showcasing ourselves into a financial grave. So you've got to have a speech that's bookable as well as payable. So people have to see that value in it, and they'll see that value in it if you are offering that last block, which is a solution. And I think that is an absolute key kind of model if you're going to do that. So as for homework, you are going to have to develop a keynote framework, okay? So by next month, we want everybody to share what they got with a keynote, and you got to have a keynote subject, a subject line, as well as a framework, and we'll unpack that. So your framework has to then touch on all these things. So you're going to go say, my keynote is called the ABCs of seagull romancing, and I've got the authority on that because I've got a master's degree in seagull relationships. It's topical because the seagulls are flourishing and taking over. It's relevant because we can learn so much from seagulls and put into today's environment and unpack that. And I'm enjoyable, people laugh, here's my references, and I'm only charging 10,000 Rand for this, so you want to book there. But out of my speech, we're going to zone in on the solutions of the future economy based on seagull romancing, okay? And so if you can come up with something a little better than that, it would be applicable. If you steal my seagull idea, I will be offended in lots of different ways. So those are those two ideas, okay? Got it? You happy? Questions? Comments?
We'll probably discuss it now, but how long should we prepare? How long should the keynote be that we prepare?
Well, I don't want to hear a keynote. We just want a topic, a heading, and a framework. So the framework thing's in the next slide, okay?
Okay.
So we will do the anatomy of a keynote in future sessions. So what I want you to do, if you've got an existing keynote, I want you to put it through this litmus test that we've got. Does it tick all those boxes? If not, go and change it. If you don't have a keynote, then you can sit there and say, well, the next slide will help you get one, and we'll then unpack that. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we move on to the hard stuff?
Bruce?
Yeah.
I'm the difficult student.
Yeah.
I've got a keynote, and I think it answers every single one of those.
Okay. So why are you here?
So, but the one question I have is, I think I'm payable, but due to budgets, I'm not.
Okay. So therefore you're not.
Yeah, but I mean, is it fair to say that we suck? Or is it fair to say that the market at the moment is really struggling to pay speakers and the speaking market has tanked?
No. I know lots of people doing great keynotes and getting paid for them.
Okay. But they're not newbies. They've been people who have been around.
They are people who've been around, yes. So, but their keynotes hit all these targets. That's what I'm saying. So yes.
Okay, well, I would love the opportunity, I'm sure later this evening, to share my topic and how mine fits all of those. But then maybe I'm not seeing it right.
Yeah.
Maybe
so,
something that I would love your guys' opinion.
Perfect. We will help dissect you, as long as you're not going to be offended if you realize that you suck.
I learned something from Toastmasters. It's not that I suck, it's that my speech sucks.
Oh, there we go. I love it. Well done. Well diverted. It's brilliant. Okay. And we've got Joe here just to help out with the...
If you're involved with Bruce at any given time. You will be an incredibly strong person when you get out. Just roll with it. It's good for you. That's all I can say.
Okay, so here's a little mechanism that we're going to do, and this is going to be a very hands-on practical stuff, and this is how to get to that topic. Okay, it's not necessarily going to give you a keynote heading, but it's going to give you a topic that you can speak on. And it's interesting is that we've done this a couple of times and I keep playing around with this, but I must just warn you, this lesson comes with a warning that it could be the end of your free time for the next couple of days, because what I'm going to show you is as addictive as chocolate. So what we're going to do, we're going to sit there and write down your keynote topic in the middle. Then we're going to go up and we're going to test it on Twitter. We're going to test it on Google. We're going to develop demographics. We're then going to create a Facebook audience. We're then going to develop a solution-based framework. Out of that framework, we're going to develop a model, and then you'll have a keynote topic that doesn't suck. So Lee, if you've done all this with your talk and it still meets all the stuff there, then it's just the economy. If not, then maybe we've all got some homework to do. And it's nice there because I've actually held back doing another keynote for tonight because I want to use this thing going forward and actually put my stuff through that, which I'm going to thoroughly enjoy. And we're going to play around with it. Okay, so the first thing, and we're going to switch between slides here and stuff. So if you've got that image in front of you, just take a screenshot of it or a photo, or if you can draw frantically, we'll leave it on for another 5 seconds because I want to take that off. And I want to be able to put up another screen to show you that we've got that. Okay, got it? I wasn't smiling. Lee, hang on, take another picture. Okay, so we're going to come back and we're going to play around here. So if you've got any questions, you can drop them into the chat box or just keep them and wave your arm around and we can look at where we're at. So let's just go to another shared screen if I can find it. By the way, just a little note, they upgraded Zoom yesterday, so you should be on version 5. And the nice thing about version 5, so version 5 has got a rounded end button in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, if you've got the rounded end button, you're perfect. Then you're at the thing there. They've also got new little buttons at the top left-hand corner that you've got there. And if you click on the little shield with a tick in it, it'll give you all the stats of your connections and all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. So you can see whether it's your computer that sucks or your internet link that sucks, because we're here to mine out all the suckiness. Okay, and if your internet continues to suck, then maybe you should go and get it fixed. It's as simple as that. We cannot now keep on making excuses about, oh, this and this and this, and blaming somebody else. We've got to take responsibility for it. So Take-A-Lot is open. The cell phone shops are open. Incredible Connections open. Who else did I went to Computer Mania today, and I visited all of them, and they do not have webcams, by the way. Webcams are sold out in the country, which is quite interesting. And there is now a 6-month waiting list for the new Logitech Silver webcams. So if you don't have one, they got a few ones left on Take-A-Lot, but they're not the Logitech ones. So just an interesting fact of where we are. And of course they're imported and they're not on the critical list for import. So there's not much chance of getting them in for a while. So back to this. Let's go to your topic. So what I want you to do in the chat box, I want you to write down, just type in your existing title or topic of your keynote, your bestseller keynote, if you've got 3 or 4, as one does, of course. Okay. Glad to see no seagull stuff coming up. Okay. Rooted as an apple tree. Okay. All right. So now we've got those topics. What we've got to do, we've got to find out whether it is needed. What are people talking about? And I'm going to show you some really cool tools here that we can get into the mind one. So the first one is Twitter. So we can go play around with Twitter. If I can find, there's my Twitter. And I'm going to show you my Twitter. So don't worry too much about the content. What I want you to look at is on the side here. Let me get my pen out. I want you to look at this section here. It says South African trends. Now I've set it to South Africa, and what it does is it lists the trends going down here. These are the top things that are trending right now. Now the thing about Twitter is not a historical thing. Twitter is now. Okay, if you want to know what the traffic is like in Cape Town, you can go to Twitter. If you want to know what riots are happening, you go to Twitter. If you want to know what Trump is saying now, you go to Twitter. It's the stuff that happens now. So you can't say, these are the trends for the past week. This is what's trending now. And what it does is this little toolbar here is you can play around with it, and by clicking on that you can look at different countries. So I went to Iceland and I was saying, what are the trends in Iceland? And guess what it is? The trending word in Iceland is ice. Who would have guessed? They only have one topic there, but it's an interesting thing because as we play around with these trends, we can get to see what people are speaking about. Now, obviously, there's a whole lot of stuff that I don't understand, and there's a whole lot of stuff. So here, we've got level 3 lockdown. Now, everybody is talking about level 3 lockdown because in an hour's time, our president will come on and he will announce the next phase of our lockdown stats and what's going to be happening. So everybody is playing around with it. So what you can do, you can click on that topic and it will refresh my entire screen now with the search at the top here of level 3 lockdown. And you can do this. So now I can see what's trending. And we can scroll down and down and down and down and down. And these are all the topics of why it's trending. So they've used that, that hashtag level 3 lockdown to include on that. And you can get to see a little bit about what people are doing and how it's working, and you can understand where that is. And you can go and change the trends. Let's just change that location. I'll show you where, and we can put United States, and we can go there, and it's very different to see what's trending in United States. So here we've got watermelon sugar, we've got Rams, that's obviously some sports team, and then there's Boosie, I don't know why that's trending, don't know what that is. Unreal Engine 5, which is obviously a game, and we've got a whole lot more. And you can click on more and you can understand that. So what I'm trying to show you is that you can get insight into what other people are actually talking about, which will give you more relevance to what you are wanting people to listen to. Because if you are sitting there and not talking about anything linked to COVID now, people are not interested, because everybody wants to know about how to get out of where we're at. So if you can have a speech that comes out tomorrow morning and a blog post and a Facebook page and a meme that's got the hashtag on it, level 3 lockdown, and then base that on what we're going to hear at 8:30 tonight, you will then go to the top of the charts as a current relevant topic and speaker. And that's what the guys are doing. They are sitting there and they're rewriting their speeches, they're rewriting their products and launching those. So instead of having a care program, we have a level 3 lockdown care program. Okay? And you then put that into that. Any questions about Twitter?
Bruce, maybe from our side, not a question about that, but when you have your keynote, how relevant or important is it to check the trends, and how often do you check that?
Yes, and daily.
Okay.
You know, unless you're talking about, you know, how to coach your cat, then world matters don't really, you know, if you are a horse trainer and you're teaching horses how to jump over poles, then maybe you should be checking what the latest stuff is on horses, but economics and the world trade. So you got to keep up to date with what is relevant in your sector. Okay, it's no use coming up and being brushed up on the economics and elections in the United States when, you know, what you're doing has got absolutely nothing to do that, then you're just showing off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it's a good place to play. Like I said, this is a rabbit hole. You could just get lost because you click on one and then you click on the other. I'm dying to know what this watermelon sugar is, but you know, we can come back to that later. Maybe the guys have worked out how to make, you know, alcohol out of watermelon. And you know, you can just go on and on and on, so you can get lost down a rabbit hole. I clicked on the hashtag end shutdown or and stuff, and I wanted to just look at 2 or 3, and about 15 minutes later I kept on scrolling down and I found myself getting more and more aggro at people with their stupid arguments about wanting to end shutdown, and they're not looking at the science, they're just looking at emotion. And then I got more angry and I thought if I scroll down and read a couple more, maybe there would be some light, and there wasn't, and it got worse and worse. Eventually I just had to say, "My step away from the screen. Go make a cup of tea, get away from it." So just a word of warning, you can get sucked into this by investigating that. Okay, so Twitter is definitely a place that you want to come and play, and Twitter is a place that will give you insight. Remember, Twitter is a snapshot of now. If you came back here 20 minutes later, or if you came back to the South African one at 9 o'clock, it will definitely change, because Cyril's speech will trend between kind of 8:30 and 11 o'clock tonight, and maybe again tomorrow morning when all the news broadcasts come through around 8 o'clock as well. So it could be completely different, and some arbitrary, you know, game or sports team, or, you know, something happens and you can play around it. But this is a nice little tool. You can do the stuff by location. And you can click here just to click on your location, and then you can personalize the trends for you. And if you've got a Twitter account, it will personalize the trends around what you are posting and the people that you follow, and then you would see something completely different. So you see here I've updated that, so now it says level 3 lockdown, committed to better, and that makes me feel a little better, because now it's understanding a bit about me and saying it's not all the stuff there. And tops and skim psalm, don't know what that is. Yeah, and we can then stop there, and then 3 more months, and that's a trending thing, because that's what's going to happen now at 8:30. Okay, so just a little word of warning. Go politicians. Hey, Chris? Okay, we can sit that. So that's one topic. So the first little block at the top that I said there is the first thing you come and look here is here, because this will give you a snapshot of the mindset of that. The next one is Google Trends. Now, if you haven't played with Google Trends before, this is going to intrigue you. Let me just tell you the background of Google Trends is every time you go onto Google and you do a search on Google, Google will record who is doing that, where they are. It'll locate all your demographics, and it'll then take all the words that you've searched on, and it stores it in a database. Okay, so just you think of all the searches that you've done, and it searches on the web, searches on social media, and searches on YouTube. Now, the two biggest search engines in the world are Google and YouTube. And here we have insight into the searches. So what we are going to do is we're going to search the searches. All right, you got that? So we're going to go behind the scenes. This is a backstage pass into Google. And I've selected a couple here, and I just want to get what I've done because I've done some pre-homework here. So the first topic I'm just going to type in is fitness. Okay, and you just type that in. You can use a word or a phrase or a sentence. I find it easier to have a shorter word than to try do a sentence. The more words you have, the more restricted it becomes, and you'll see why at that. So what I want to do is I want to do this worldwide, and I want to do this for the past 5 years. And look at that. So we're talking about fitness. Now, who here sees a heartbeat? Isn't that just, I just love that. You type in a health topic and it comes back with a heartbeat. Who can tell me why it looks like that?
Because it's New Year.
Aha, spot on, yes. Okay, what happens on December the 31st and January the 1st?
Resolutions.
Yes, all those false solutions. So it's interesting, and what we can do, that's going back 5 years. So I can mouse over that, and there it is. The first week in January, 2016. The first week in January, 2017. The first week in January, 2018. 2019 and 2020, and then we messed the world up because everybody only waited 2 months before they asked again, what about fitness? So the last week of March, everyone's going like, oh, cock, it feels like the beginning of the year again. Maybe I should make my shutdown resolutions and we can search again. But it didn't last long because look, it's dropped to an all-time low. Because people tried it for a week and said, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, there's Joe eating her chips. And it's just an interesting... It's an interesting thing there, but that's a pattern over 5 years. And that to me gives you insight into the human behavior and the psyche of individuals. So if you had to do a speech around fitness and health, it would be perfect to launch that in the first week of January, not in December. You see this here? December, the low point, December, the low point, December, the low point, December, the low point. And it's very interesting. Just before the spike, when we're on holiday, no one is going to Google and say, how do I keep fit for Christmas? But we're all sitting there and we all playing around with it. So let's add another term on here. Let's talk about health. And now it's going to draw 2 graphs. And now we get almost a reverse trend. Look at that. We got an upside down heartbeat. Now you must just remember, I'm a bit of a maths nerd, so things like this really excite me. This is like hardcore porn to me. Okay, I just revel in things like this because I think it's absolutely magnificent. Look how there's a dip in the searching for health just before the spike in the fitness. And it's a trend. It's not just an accidental thing. This is a trend. It's got a double dip and a double dip and a double dip and a double dip and a double dip. And then it's got a spike here and a spike there and a spike there and a spike there. These are trends that are worldwide, gathered by people who do these things. And if we add a third term called exercise, then we can, what happened to my exercise? we can now get a wonderful topic. So simple things. Which of these 3 words do you want in your keynote topic?
One with the most spikes.
Exactly, which is health. Okay. Okay, so if you are talking about exercise, look at that little yellow flat line at the bottom there. Blah, 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 blah. No one's Googling exercise because they're all Googling health and fitness because they're looking for exercises around health and fitness. And this is very, very important there, is that if you are an exercise person, do not go and put exercise in your topic because the presenting issue for exercise is health. No one Googles that. They're going to Google, how do I improve my health? You know they need exercise, but they don't because they are Googling health and they can do that. So now we look at this topic and we go, this is awesome. And look at that big spike here. This is great. We've got huge spikes here at the end of the year with health, and there's obviously a whole lot of stuff happening here, but it is an anomaly. You can't just look at that trend and say, this is exactly what we want. It's not about that. It's a once-off anomaly. So you go back 5 years and you can look at the trend and you can see there that is not the future of the market and base everything on that. Go look back 5 years and you can play around with that. But if you think this is relative and impressive, what you've got to do is you've got to put in the term just to get some perspective. And what is one of the most searched topics on the internet?
Sex.
There we go. Well done, a woman of experience. There we go. So look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, look how unimportant health and exercise is. So don't get all excited because you found a niche in the market, all right? And I use this term just to get relevance, okay? Just to sit there and say, because I'm going to get all excited about health and I'm going, yeah, I'm going to coin it. And the other person who's talking about sex is pulling in the 6 figures and you go, how on earth? My graphs were so great. But you've just got to get perspective on where your graph is. Okay, so it's interesting. And there's no real trends. There's just lots of ups and downs. Okay, and that's enough of that. Let's move on.
But hold on. I want to ask a question here.
Yeah.
Change the content of your keynote every time, or do you just change the topic of your keynote?
Absolutely spot on, yes.
Okay, so you change the topic.
You keep it relative to what people are talking about, yes.
Okay.
So your roots and apple tree, you can change that to be a talk about sex, or it can be talk about health, or it can be talk about relationships, or it can be talk about, anything. Literally, you could hang anything on your tree.
Okay.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
Thinking, guys, and I'm going to throw it out here. If my topic is roots as an apple tree, it's going to be how, what sex topic can that be, Bruce?
Let me think on that for a bit.
First, about the root addiction.
There we go. Yes. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Sowing your seeds. I don't know. We can play around with all sorts of things.
Bruce.
Don't get me started. It could be an interesting night. Okay. So this is the thing here on Google Trends, and this is where you've got to play. So just look at where we are. We firstly worldwide, and we're doing 5 years. So let's see what this trend looks like for South Africa. So I want to zoom down here, and I want to put in South Africa. and we can look at trends for 5. And it's interesting, the gap is even bigger. The trend here is different for South Africa than it is for the whole world. And that's interesting with that. And what you do, you scroll down a little bit, and now you can see here is the people in the Western Cape are more interested in health, woohoo, go, than anywhere else, because we're a healthier province. Okay, because we got the ocean and the best wine, the best cheese, and the prettiest girls. So we are definitely focused more on health, and it's not me just saying that, because that is with it, and it gives you the 3 colors, and you can mouse over that, and you can see 65% of the searches in the Western Cape are about health, and only 20% with fitness. So it's an interesting thing. Then you can scroll down a little bit more, and this is where it becomes interesting, because often we think we're onto a good thing here, but then our bubble gets popped right here. Because all of a sudden we find out that what people are talking about nationally around fitness is Planet Fitness, not what we're talking about. They are more interested in what's happening to the gym in Newcastle than anywhere else. Okay, and all of a sudden now we go write a whole speech about fitness and everything, and we go put it into the market, and we go, yeah, and no one books you, and go, crap. Because what you should have done an economic speech about gym membership and a Planet Fitness interview as a case study. And then you would have got booked, because that's what people are interested in. And you can see there, even Vardegloof Planet Fitness is trending. Woohoo! With us. So we can then rule out fitness out of our stuff. So let's scroll down a little bit and look at health. Now we've got Health Squared, Go Health Club, Elixir Health, Hawaii Health App, and Quali Health. So those are obviously a whole bunch of stuff there that I don't know. And if we go down to exercise, we get neuroplasticity exercise, bird dog exercise. Anybody wanting to offer some wisdom around that one? Okay. Jumping jacks exercise, that I know. Level 4 lockdown exercise, there's something you can bank on. Okay. So you can play around with it. So all of a sudden we've now got relevance of what people are offering. So if I was a health and exercise person right now, I would go in, oh, Veldskon, I need to now change that, because actually what I thought people were Googling is not what I want Googling. So let's zoom down to the Western Cape and get some impact into what we've got here. So we click on Western Cape, and now we're going to just zoom down 5 years Western Cape, and I want to do 1 year, the past 12 months in the Western Cape, and just see what those trends are. So it flattens the curve a little bit. And we can look at those topics, and we can say now we're literally interested in what's happening in Cape Town, and the search terms are different because now we've ruled out the Planet Fitness stuff in Vardegloof. Okay, so the people in Cape Town are interested in fitness, short-term personal fitness goals. There's a keynote topic. Okay, Zone Fitness Muizenberg, no, not a topic. Planet Fitness near me, not a, okay. So there's a good one. I would take that, and I'm going, that's an interesting one. That's very topical at the moment. I could do a keynote around that. And then we're going to look at health. Everybody's Googling World Health Organization coronavirus. Okay, I don't know why. Mental Health Awareness Month. I don't know when that was. Anybody know where Mental Health Awareness was?
That's right now.
Is it now? Okay, cool. Thank you. Well, there we go. That's why it's trending. Essential Health, Kells River, World Mental Health Day, and Discovery Health Login. Okay, I don't know why people would. Okay, anyway. So, and then we've got plank exercise, exercise during lockdown, level 4 lockdown exercise, exercise at home, and exercise program. So here is a whole bunch of meat that we could play around with and get done. Okay, and what you do, you just play around with this. Your zooming here is you can do the countries right down to cities. Okay, you can do time-based period, you can do categories. So if you're only interested in arts and entertainment, auto, and you've got all the different categories if you want to zoom down on that. And here's a little interesting one. The last button here allows you to look at image search, news, Google Shopping, or YouTube. And it's very interesting because if you want to know what people are looking for on YouTube, firstly, you're going to be horribly shocked. Okay, make sure the kids are not in the room when you're doing this. But also then just go and play around with that, because what people are searching on YouTube and what people are searching on the web search are different things. And it's a very interesting. YouTube is very much about product reviews and how-to videos. So people say, how do I cook a chicken? Because I've never cooked a chicken until I have to cook for myself. And, you know, how do I keep my wife happy when she's always around and I can't even get to the office? How do I homeschool? How do I, you know, and all those sort of stuff there. But remember, sex will top all that, especially on YouTube. So just be a little careful. If there's an issue for you, please stay away from that. And you can get that done. So you can play around with those different categories and you can add as many different words on here. When you then find something at the bottom here that you like plank exercise, you can then click on that and you can then put that at the top and you can see I love that graph for planking. Look at that. Anyway, it's just, yeah, that's us up. Plank, plank, no plank, plank, no plank, no plank, 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 no plank, 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 no plank. So plank's an intermittent exercise, and we can see that. So it's interesting. You can keep going down and out, and now that you've got that, you can go back to Western Cape and you can zoom back to South Africa and you can compare Western Cape to the rest, which is different, and then you can go worldwide and see what people are doing planking worldwide. And that's a lot more planking happening this year than any other time before. And clearly, you can now talk about planking exercise as a good support structure similar to your team leadership. Okay, and there you can relate that back to those things. So you can play around and keep your topic sorted out. Your entry ticket for the 27th is a speech topic. It doesn't have to be a speech title. It's a speech topic that meets all the criteria that we've spoken about.